Good. I hope this holds up and I don't have any Wi-Fi issues. All right, let's talk about this, man. I'm not going to, it's Sunday. So many of you have either gone to church, watched it from home, or whatever. You heard a word for today. So I'm not trying to give you a whole other message. But I am teaching on the West Coast out at Christ Church of the Presidio. Their service starts at 4:30 on Sundays. And so that's actually 7:30 for me p.m. because I'm East Coast from the Maryland, D.C. area. So I'm not teaching for a couple hours, but I just had this thought. So I'm not going to keep you long because I know you were already heard a good word today if you went to a good church. But I want to ask a question, and I want to show you why I'm asking this question. Here's the question. Are you killing Jesus? Are you killing Jesus? This will be somewhat of a continuation of some of the stuff I said yesterday. All right? Are you killing Jesus? Are you watching right now or watching later, who is a professing believer? Are you killing Jesus? This is not a trick question. Not a trick question. Let me tell you why I'm asking this question, all right? Let's go to this little scene real quick in John 17. I want you to watch this. And I want you to think about this. The goal of the responsibility, not even the goal, the responsibility of a believer is to try to take documents, letters, scriptures that were written sometimes thousands of years ago, 15, 200, 2,000 plus years ago, and try to figure out how does it apply for us today, right? There's not always a one-to-one. We live in a different cultural context. There are different ways we describe things, all of it, right? So the goal of every believer, but especially the preacher, the teacher, is to try to take documents, letters that were written to a different people, a different time, and figure out how does it apply to us? Where do we see similarities? And there's not always a one-to-one, but sometimes there's close enough, all right? So when I ask you this question, are you killing Jesus? I'm not being facetious. I'm not trying to, this isn't for clickbait. This is a real question. And I want to show you this quick scene in John to tell you why. I want to show you this. I think there's a similarity here. I think you can take what we see in contemporary modern America, right? And see this scene right here. So let's go to this scene. This is John 11, right? This is just after, all right? This is just after Jesus brings Lazarus back from the dead, all right? This is what happens pretty much right after that crazy scene where Jesus says, Lazarus, come out, all right? And here's what he says. Here's what it says here. It says, many of the Jews, therefore, who had come with Mary and had seen what he did, believed in him. But some of them went to the Pharisees and told them what Jesus had done. So the chief priests and the Pharisees gathered the council and said, what are we to do? For this man performs many signs. All right. So here they hear that Jesus just brought back Lazarus from the dead. People are starting to believe in him, right? And so they gathered, the chief priests, the Pharisees, they gather together and they say, what are we going to do with this dude? And then it says this. It says, for this man performs many signs. And look at this is verse 46 of Matthew 11. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, okay? And the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation, all right? Let me make sure, because I don't think this gets talked a lot about in the public square and among a lot of believers. If you say, why did the Pharisees kill Jesus? Well, you'd say, well, they were jealous of him or they thought he wasn't the Messiah. They didn't want to lose their power, all of that, right? You'll hear those types of things. But they specifically acknowledge God wanted us to know, I am a firm believer that God is intentional. Every detail matters, some more than others, all right? So God wanted us to know that the Pharisees were afraid that the Romans would come and destroy their place. They destroy them, right? They had no confidence in God to protect them, right? They thought the Romans are going to come. This was a political decision. This was a decision that was based on politics. There was a political decision for them to even lie and tell Pilate that we have no king but Caesar, right? Just to get people fired up because they were so worried. They were afraid not just that people would follow Jesus. It does say that, but it says, and that the Romans would both destroy them and their place, all right? The Romans were the world power of the day. It was a political power. So their result was we're going to kill Jesus. We're so afraid that with the political opposition, you see where I'm going with this, right? This is the reality. Many people act like the politics of the day only affected us today. Jesus walked right into a political hailstorm. This is why they tried to trip him up when they said, look, should we pay taxes or not? That was a political statement. Jesus said, whose inscription is on this coin? He said, give to Caesar what is Caesar's, give to God what is God's, right? There were political, if you stop and really look at the Bible and what's going on, you realize, wow, some of their traps were theological, some of their traps were cultural, but some of their trying to trip Jesus up was political. And what ultimately led them to kill Jesus and then lie to Pilate, it was not theological, it was political. They said, look, we have no king but Caesar. This man claims to be a king. That was the whole point. So Pilate was like, are you a king? And Jesus said, my kingdom is not of this world. It was a political decision. It was a fear of political opposition and oppression that led them to kill Jesus. So when I ask you this question, are you killing Jesus? I don't mean did you go back in time and actually contribute? What I mean is in the spirit of the Pharisees, who are so afraid of what will happen if, they're faithful to Jesus. If Jesus' name gets promoted, they'll be destroyed, right? This was a political thing. This was a political fear. They were worried about the destruction from their political opposition. Are you killing Jesus that you're so afraid of the political oppression from either the left, which we call woke, or right-wing extremism, which you call wherever you're at, right? Are you killing Jesus? Now, it was clear how they killed Jesus back then, right? They had Pilate say, hey, we have no king. That was a political statement. We have no king but Caesar, right? And then they say, so how would you kill Jesus today? How can we be killing Jesus today by being afraid of the political opposition? Here's how. We don't do what he commanded us to do. Like Jesus commanded us to really go after the attitudes and actions of the world. We're not supposed to imitate them, right? So fear is not even something we're supposed to give into, but this is what we give into. So we can kill Jesus, not literally killing him, but we kill what he taught by how we act if we're afraid of the political opposition. And this is a lot of what's going to happen. People, watch, this guitar that I'm playing is going to have a lot of music to it because a lot of people are afraid of the political opposition of the day, and they're overreacting to things that are crazy. So call me wrong, fine, but I bet you as time increases, the political opposition underneath it is people are afraid. They're afraid of losing a particular way of life. That's what's the problem here. And I see it from the overreaction to the Olympics. Yeah, we should be upset, but it's like we shouldn't be so upset that we're willing to act in ways of outrage. Like what fruit of the spirit is outrage? I mean, yeah, I'm disappointed. I think these people are wilding, but as I said yesterday, they have greater problems than what you and I can do. They have greater problems. What's the outrage for? I think a lot of Christians are killing Jesus in the sense that just like the Pharisees that were worried. Let's look at this one more time. Here's what it says. Verse 46. This is 48. He says, what are we to do? For this man performs many signs. 47. Here's 48. If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and our nation. This is what so many believers are worried about, that the left is going to take away our place in our nation, or the right is going to do, or this community is going. And it's like, listen, I'm not going to kill Jesus by being unwilling to do what he commands, as difficult as can be. It's hard to do it. And I think many of us need to be careful because you're going to follow the outrage of all these people. And you will not find a credible Bible translation that tells you that you should be outraged at the sins of the world. You shouldn't be. There's other verses that we should be, but that's a different video. Peace.